Exactly 3 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the A side, and this is Eagle's Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs. It might also suffice to say that quite a number of dramatic, sensational happenings been going on in the country. However, though, we cannot speak about all of them. We were looking into something that borders around the NNPCL Dangote domestic dispute and inflation outlook, right? And that also allows for us to look into the matter of a change in leadership, with the NNPCL, where the former GMD, talking about Milikiari, has been sacked. All right, there's no resignation, there's no Ojulari. Yes, that's it. Bashir Ojulari might just be the name that would be on our lips, from now henceforth as the new NNPCL GMD. And well, just before we dive into the discourse.
Yes, this morning we'll be looking at the oil sector, the economy, and of course the inflation outlook, because a new quarter has just started,
Exactly.
whether we like it or not. And the previous quarter, we made to understand that there were significant gains in terms of, revenue generation.
That's right.
And a downward, review in terms of the inflation rate in Nigeria. But can that, tempo be sustained? I think that's one question that a number of Nigerians, economic, analysts have been asking, over time. Now, the federal government's failure to renew the crude for Naira agreement between NNPC Limited and Dangote Refinery, along with rising global crude oil prices, is set to push petrol pump prices higher across Nigeria in this month of April and beyond. And we've been made to understand, that some fuel stations have already jacked up, the price of PMS, even looking at the fact that the NNPCL and Dangote, they are yet to really reach a consensus on the Naira, for crude, deal or dollar for crude deal. Now, the 6-month agreement, which expired last month in the month of March, was initially brokered by the government last year, and it actually allowed the National Oil Company to supply crude oil to the 650,000 barrel per day at Dangote Refinery with payment, made in Naira. Now, despite initial challenges, the deal gradually reduced petrol prices from over 1,000 naira per litre to around 820 naira, depending on the location. Now, following the failure of the two companies to renew the agreement, Dangote Refinery had 2 weeks ago announced that it was halting sale of petrol products to the domestic market in Naira. And we also understand that some marketers have now, resorted to panic buying by way of hoarding the product. And we know the implication of, actions like this. It means that in the days to come, the product might be scarce. Aside being scarce, I mean, the prices of PMS, already jacked up across, different locations in the country. It all depends on your location and how much is being pegged, at whether 1,000 naira, 970 or 990 naira. All right. But this morning, really, in the course of the conversation, we'll really be glad to hear from you, dear listener. Maybe you have, been privileged to visit a number of filling stations to let us in on how much the pump price of petrol is being sold for at the moment. But to discuss this is an economist and also lead researcher at Pole Eco Analytics, Adefolarin Olamilekon. He joins us live via telephone. Good morning to you, Adefolarin.
Good morning to you, Mr. Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning to you.
Good morning to all our listeners.
That's right. Well, it feels good to have a conversation with you again. Been a while since we got conversational, but then it's a rare opportunity always to always have someone of your status, to engage us. But now look at this, scenario that's been going on. Let's take a story from, someone who has been affected by this crisis, so like say a saga between the NNPCL and Dangote refinery. Now, this is a personal story of a small business, owner who relies on petrol, to power their generator. Now, the constant increase in petrol prices is forcing them to raise their prices, yeah, astronomically, without fear or favor, without any regulations whatsoever. And this is affecting the customers and, of course, the bottom liners. Now, that is the reality of many Nigerians who are struggling to cope with the rising cost of living. Now, what are the implications of this, especially to the economy, as well as what do you make of a time frame agreement or deal, 6 months agreement between the NNPC and Dangote for the Naira for crude, conversation that's been going on, deal that's been going on. What do you make of all of this?
I think the first thing to first establish that the deal was not between NNPC and Dangote. The deal was between Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and Dangote.
Okay.
NNPC just came in the sense that he's going to be picking some of those products from Dangote. So the main deal, the person that is giving Dangote crude oil is Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. They are the one in charge of giving out petroleum products and telling us the numbers of food we have produced. NNPC is in charge of selling the food for Nigerian government. So it was just a deal between NUPLC, Dangote, but NNPC came in between because it is one that will be the uptaker of the end product of the food from Dangote as expected by the government. And that's why I see that most of the price between Dangote and NNPC are where we are seeing the price war. Because once Dangote reduces its S depot price, NNPC must definitely follow also the pump price reduction. And that is how it has been. Then to the other question he asked, he's talking about the impact of the entire price of petroleum products in Nigeria. Definitely, all of us are feeling the impact. Either you're a small business person, or you're a household person, either you're a big company, we're all feeling the impact of the end high price products of petroleum price in Nigeria. Because partly, we are still importing the PMS into the country, and partly because of the price fluctuation between whether Dangote will get more crude or it will not get more crude, and that's what is happening. But I can tell you that it has already been in the book. At least this coming week we are entering, not this holiday week, because this holiday week, the technical committee is supposed to meet, but I think they are shifting it in next week so they cannot have a deal. And the reason why they could not conclude the meeting last week and upper week was that at the time NUPLC and Dangote, NNPC and Federal Minister of Finance, as well as the technical committee headed by the chairman of Federal Inland Revenue, because the president appointed Dr. Adedeji, the Federal Inland Revenue chairman, as the technical committee now to look a peace between NUPLC, Dangote, NNPC on what kind of supply are they going to be giving to Dangote and how long it will take. The first initial stage was 6 months, which ended in March. Mm-hmm. It ended just yesterday, day before yesterday. So They are now looking at the next plan. And the next plan was that when they met last week, Friday, NUPLC did not come with a plan. They did not come with the result of how the transaction was gone. You get it? So altogether, it was 122,000 barrels of crude they're supposed to give to Dangote. But they ended up giving him about 2,000 barrels.
How many barrels did they give him?
120.
They're supposed to be 122,000 barrels. Mm-hmm. So, but they gave him 82,000 barrels.
Okay.
82. Mm-hmm. So, and you can also take a critical look at this scenario. You know that the federal government, through NNPC, is selling its crude to raise revenue. And also understand that some of those crude have been forward sales. You understand what I mean? Forward sales.
No, mind explaining it.
Okay, what it means is that you selling your product in advance to your customer or collecting money in advance and giving them the product maybe next week or next tomorrow, but you have collected the money. Mm-hmm. That's how NNPC was doing his dealing. Right. And that's why when people call on NNPC that the swap deal didn't work, it was because of that. So those agreements were sit down. So NNPC is supposed to also meet up with those agreements with those people that have collected money from. It's just like you and FA in that studio now. Mm-hmm. Now if they gave you money in advance that you are going to give him one bag of gari. Mm-hmm. You know, the one bag of gari, you have not seen it, but you have collected the money. That was how NNPC is doing use it as crude oil. They collect money in advance and give those products later. So those views are still down, those commitments are still down, and that's why he affected not to be able to meet up with 122,000 barrels they're supposed to give to Dangote. So now what the government is doing, that let us go back and check very well so that we will not have the same problem as we have in the 6 months, so that we can also have a more longer agreement and deal with Dangote. And this time around, they are not just looking at Dangote, they are looking at other modular refineries, other smaller, modular refineries beyond the conversion refinery of Dangote.
Okay.
Why does it always feel as though we always wait until, the milk is spilled before we begin to want to take proactive measures? I mean, the NUPRC, ordinarily, as a proactive measure, Nigerians expected that they should have been, or they should have envisaged that this deal was going to be over. I mean, that there was a time, 6 months, of course, was the channel. They should have envisaged this. They should have prepared for it, so that we don't always have to come on the round table. Does it mean that we seem to like round table conversations every time, and when we know that we know what to do, we know how to do what to do, but we like to just elongate things and come to a round table and just be heard, be seen?
Actually, let me quickly correct Dan, let me quickly, this Naira for crude policy we are practicing now under Tinubu, it was agreed 10 years ago.
My goodness.
It's supposed to be, it is in our PIA section 22 of the PIA, it was already stipulated that we should practice Naira for food. But the government at that time, this was 10 years ago, not before APC, during the PDP era, during the Buhari era, this particular policy is supposed to be in place. But because of the interest at play, and that interest is what affected the initial 6 months, because of our forward sales. We have been collecting money from all international companies that we normally sell crude oil to, but we now give them their crude oil later. So when this policy now came into being, that policy shake that particular agreement with government and with NNPCL and its customers. Okay. So now they are now going back to now review how to ensure that the local supply is not affected by international commitment of NNPCL. So what I'm trying to draw out is that this particular policy supposed to have been in place 10 years ago. So would have been used to this kind of policy 10 years ago, but because the interests are played at that time, and again, the NNPC that Melekari now, Melekari has been replaced yesterday with the Bayo Ojulari. So the Melekari at that time, when he was appointed 9 years ago, he was not having that courage to open up to the government. And if not for the current government that now have the boldness to ask deep questions about our crude production, you get it? I know that the Tinubu government increased the target of our crude production to 1.7 million barrels per day. Yeah. So that became a challenge to the NNPC of Melekari. So he just has to open up, and that's why he opened up on what has been happening in that area. And this policy of Naira for crude has to come to place. And as I earlier pointed, it's supposed to have been in place since 10 years ago, but because of the problem of NNPC's commitment collecting money at front from customers is what made it not to be possible. So it affected the 6 months. They could not meet up 122,000 barrels they're supposed to give to Dangote. They only gave me 82,000 barrels. And now, the government is now taking a look at a longer perspective. Although they also look at the challenges that will come in. The challenges that will come in is that the money that will be earning from Dangote and the rest of them, it will be less in terms of higher currency, because we will not be using Naira. But the Naira we are using, it will be in equivalent to the Naira exchange, because we also need to correct this, because a lot of people are saying that, like last week, Depot Owners Association of Nigeria is kicking against Naira for food. I know you must have read the story. Depot owners are those people that have depot as a seaport who normally collected imported PMS. So they are against this kind of policy, and some part of Ipman and the rest of them are also against this this kind of policy. But we are making them to understand that it will not affect Naira to dollar exchange, because the equivalent Naira exchange is what government will be giving to Dangote. They will be selling to Dangote. The only difference is that he's not using dollar to buy it. He's using Naira equivalent to buy it. If a barrel of crude is $1,000, you look at that, if it's let's say $1, and that $1 equal 1,000 Naira to Naira. I mean, you only pay in Naira equivalent. You get it?
All right. So, Mr. Defalarin, quite frankly, the fluctuations that we are looking at, it actually cuts across board. In the currency market, there is a fluctuation right there. In the oil sector, there's been a fluctuation in recent time as well, because you look at the recent reduction in the pump price of petrol by Dangote and also the NNPCL, that did not really stand the test of time. And here we are. It's more like we've reverted to the old order, all right? And even in the inflation, aspect, there's been an up and down, in that aspect as well. But now the question I'd like to ask you, and the reason why we tagged this conversation, the NNPCL and Dangote domestic dispute, is because of, what we've been made to understand, even though you've clearly, corrected, an impression that it's not the NNPCL's, responsibility, to really get, the crude. It is the NUPRC, right? Mm-hmm. But what I would like to know, this face-off it seems to be solely between the NNPCL and Dangote refinery. But in a case where the federal government cannot indeed address and even harmonize, the thoughts of, the NNPCL and the Dangote refinery, let's say in 1 week from now, what would be the implication? Because we see marketers also saying that the last resort would be to also get the product and sell it, in dollars. Let me just quote them now. In a chat with the National Daily, the public relations officer of IPMAN, that's Chinedu Kadike, said that the pump price would likely go up due to the cost of sourcing foreign exchange to pay for the product, and also pointed that, marketers may also resort to selling their petroleum products in dollars, as the currency has now become the means of exchange in Nigeria. Now, that actually speaks volumes. Which is the official currency that we're transacting with in the country at this point in time? Is it still the naira or the dollar?
Let me quickly react to what you need to say. I think that's a misrepresentation and misinterpretation of how the industry is even working. Okay. The Chinedu man from IPMAN that you're talking about is a public relations officer. Now, ask them, is CBN limitedly give dollar to importing of fuel? Where are they getting their dollar from? Now, the main exchange of currency in Nigeria is a main exchange of trade in Nigeria. Still remain in naira. And if I could deduct what he's saying, what he is saying is that currently the crude oil price in the international market is between $69 to $73 per barrel. Now, they are importing refined products, and what they are importing is PMS. Now, they are also buying that PMS from Belgium, either from Kuwait, wherever they are buying their products. They also buy it in there. So the problem we should be concentrating right now to make us understand the kind of fear they are creating from that kind of statement is this. These guys, the advantage that we are getting from Dangote own is that we don't pay for freight. We are not importing. But we are still making exchange of our PMS price, whatever we are getting from Dangote, at the rate of what we're supposed to get it in terms of naira to dollar, naira to exchange to dollar crude exchange. But the freight change charges that they will pay to ports, that will pay to NPA, that will pay to tankers, ships that will bring it, it has been taken off. So the IPMAN side is this. What they are now trying to tell us is that because they are buying all these products, importing it, they are paying for dollar, they are not going to be buying in dollar. We are not buying in dollar. Well, let us correct that inflation. Okay. We're only going to buy in the exchange of what they buy in dollar in naira. And that's why you see that IPMAN himself and his group, they have been complaining they have been losing money because of the local price we are buying PMS, who Dangote is supplying. So they have been losing. I think one of their records, they lost over 30 billion every month. 30 billion naira every month because of the price that Dangote is selling. So what will now happen is that if Dangote is not getting crude, they will now resort to higher price because they are importing, and they will now be selling at the exchange rate of naira to dollar to sell PMS from us. And that's why we will now go back to that old price of 1,002 or 1,003. But that will not happen. I can assure you that will not happen. You know why? Why it will not happen is that Dangote is still giving out PMS to local petrol stations. But he's not giving it at the 840 naira or 815 naira at SDPO price. I hope you are getting it.
Yes.
They are not picking it between 850 to 890 at the SDPO price.
Okay.
So that's what is happening. But IPMAN themselves, what IPMAN is trying to do is to create fear in the society of Nigeria, to create fear and make Nigerians panic. But that will not happen because the current government understands the politics of the oil and gas in Nigeria. And that's why they will ensure that Dangote get the crude all the local refineries also get the crude, because you know what this thing has helped the federal government. Just this morning, just yesterday, CBN celebrated $23.5 billion in our reserve because of this exercise alone. You know what it means? For us to save $23.5 billion in just 6 months of this experiment, in just 9 months of the entire operation of having naira for crude. So government will not want to lose that kind of opportunity, even though there is something to lose at the end of the day. But the larger of it is that we will not lose much as we have been losing in the past. And that's why when President Tinubu was talking about this particular naira price, he said we will readjust and reevaluate every sector in the oil and gas sector to ensure that the people benefit. And that's what we should be expecting, not what Ipman is saying. I know Ipman is creating fear. And you ask Ipman, are they enforcing as much as they are enforcing before? Because they have been limited. They have been limited.
Okay, so Mr. Defolarin, let's now bring in, the impact this would have on the average Nigerian on the street. I mean, for starters, we have to share with you someone's personal story as to how this price increase, has actually impacted his or her business and probably the businesses of other Nigerians, on the street. The first quarter of this year, we saw a significant reduction in inflation rate, even though some Nigerians actually think that that is not really in tandem with what is obtainable on the streets, of Nigeria. But with this price increase, in PMS, because we understand that some filling stations, they've already jacked up the price of PMS. What is the inflation outlook going to, look like for the second quarter of this year?
Definitely, we should expect a higher inflation if it happens. But let's also clear the doubt. Now, there are 3 categories of filling stations and where we are getting fuel in Nigeria. We have the NNPC side, we have the DANGOTE, MRS, and the another group on DANGOTE. Then we have the Ipman. Now, IPMA members who are not buying from Dangote are the ones selling fuel at 950, 970, 1,000. Are you with me?
Yes, please.
Now, the second group are the group that are selling under Dangote. They are getting their product from Dangote. They are the ones selling at 840, 860, then 885. Then the last group under NNPC is one that is selling at 850, 860, 870. So, you now have a different market to enter, to buy. So if you want to buy, if it is the Ipman group that you are so close to, very close to your house, like the Akaumi mentioned those filling stations that are selling at 950 because they are all out there. They are members of Ipman. They are the ones selling at 950, 970, 1,000. You want to go to them, maybe they are the one closest to you. Definitely you'll be having that heat. Like the vehicle I entered to come to town this morning, he missed NNPC. He missed the first NNPC. He was open like the second NNPC open. But the second one did not open. So he now went to Ipman member. How much did he buy it? 950. Now, there's another filling station that is selling in AYA, MRS. MRS is selling at 840, 850 in Abuja. Okay. Then we have NNPC selling at 850. So that's what has opened in terms of the market, in terms of the market price that we are all seeing. Different prices depending on the brand that we want to go and get it. Now, to each one of us, definitely will be affected because if NNPC is not close to me, if MRS is not close to me, I'll go to the closer, which could be Ipman. And Ipman also have a category of sub-sector group under them. And those ones are the ones that normally share one tanker. A 45,000 liter PMS fuel tanker can be shared by 3 filling stations. Those 3 filling stations that you are seeing, they don't have large tank base. So they will just buy like 15,000 or 10,000 liters. So those ones are even selling higher. Those are the ones that will be selling at 1,003 naira, 1,005 naira. I witnessed that during this holiday period. There was a filling station I entered, and they were selling that fuel at 1,005 naira. Another one was selling at 1,003 naira. These are other members of IPMA that are not on the bigger scale. So that is what's going to be happening in terms of the price, and that will reflect bringing about a new change in inflation by the time we begin to calculate all together what we are going to have in this second quarter of 2025.
Okay, but Mr. Defolarin, before we embark on a commercial break, isn't it possible to maybe harmonize all of these prices that we have as opposed to having NNPCL selling at a rate that is completely different from what Dangote is selling, to maybe the MRS, fuel station and other fuel stations that we have? Isn't it possible for us to just have a fixed price, per liter?
It's possible, but the interest of each group in this sector will not allow it to happen.
Right.
The question we should ask ourselves, why did Ipman choose to be importing fuel into the country when they have Dangote? When Dangote says, come and pick fuel from his place, they run away. They say they cannot pick it. Because of what? Because of their interest. Because they don't want to gain 10 naira on each liter of petrol. Now they are gaining over 45 naira, 60 naira, 70 naira on each liter of petrol. So that's what they want. So because of the interest of each player in the industry, nobody wants to lose. Everybody wants to have the maximum profit above 50 naira per day. As we speak right now, Ipman members who are importing fuel into the country are gaining exceedingly above 50 naira on each of their products.
All right. Let's open the phone lines now so that the family members can be a part of this. You want to jump in on this. You want to add your voice quickly and aptly, civil and responsible with your words. Then the number would be 0907 353 0044. That is the number 0907 353 0044. Get onto the WhatsApp portal 0909 705 4450. Let's take this call. Okay, that's a miss. Well, keep the calls coming through, and just know that we also have a social media television that we are hosting right there that you can just get on there on YouTube. We keep saying this time and time again. On YouTube, it is at Eagles FM Abuja, and on Facebook, it is at Eagles FM Abuja as well. So be sure to also spread the wings across every other social media platform so you don't get to miss any information that we put out there. One of the conversations we are having right now, of course, is the matter that concerns the NNPCL as well as Dangote Refinery, which our guest has helped us to unbundle, saying that is the NUPRC that indeed should be committed in this conversation. Taking this call now.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Yudi.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Efe.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, our guest, Felix from Lambert.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Just go ahead.
I really commend your guest. And you see, Nigerians are very intelligent. And we know what is really happening within the society. We have the solution to our problems. The only thing is that the right people are not given the opportunity to be in the right place. And it's just so unfortunate. Look at how your guest pieces everything. Even a novice like me who know nothing about, I'm able to understand and pick what is really going on in the oil sector. And if man is so powerful and so strong that they will continue to put us under pressure, then it's unfortunate. Is there no law that can guide and harmonize these prices? And is there no law that can make it man to patronize local products of Dangote in place of this foreign products that are importing, if not because of personal interest? We are very much aware that some of our politicians have refineries outside the shores of this country, and they want those refineries, man, to continue to patronize those refineries. So these are interests which is overriding the general interest of the Nigerian people. Is what is putting us in the mess. So I don't know what role can National Assembly play in terms of lawmaking that will bring about harmony in the petroleum industry. This is the question I want them to explain to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix.
Thank you,
from
Felix,
Lambert.
for that one, though. Appreciate. Well, anyways, Mr. Adefolari, you get to add your voice, in this discourse. But first of all, let's go pay some bills, and we'll be right back with this conversation. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Please listen to this announcement. Members of 51 regular course set of Nigerian Defense Academy marking their 25 years in service. Team, 51 regular course at 25. Strengthening unity by rekindling camaraderie to safeguard the future. Special guest of honor, General C.G. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff. Major activities: launch of group life insurance policy for the course, honoring of our deceased course mates and our instructors from Nigerian Defense Academy, health awareness lectures and sports competitions. Date: Saturday, 5th April 2025. Time: 6 p.m. prompt. Venue: Armed Forces Officers Mess, Asokoro, Abuja. Announcer: Colonel A.O. Gwento, Chairman, Organizing Committee, 51 Regular Course.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Eagles Outlook. And yes, we have been in conversation, in discourse with our guest in the person of Mr. Adefolari Olamilekan, who is a seasoned economist, by the way, and has added his voice into matters of concern, economic development in the country. And the topical issue has always been the NNPC, Dangote domestic dispute and inflation outlook, which he says it's not really about the NNPCL and the Dangote. It's about the NUPRC and Dangote refinery, as well as having fears and concerns about what our inflation will look like, now.
Quarter.
Yeah, in this quarter.
Right.
Well, let's just get this call through. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Odua.
Good morning to you, Elder.
Naja is my name. Good morning, my beautiful daughter.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. God bless you people.
Right, thank you so much,
You see,
Elder.
our people say, the place where you fall, now you dey see, but the place where you like you do not see. That's the problem with NNPC. You see, the Kaba in NNPC, they are the same Kaba. They are the same Kaba in all the government issues. Without removing Kaba from government, you can never. Who is the well? All this name where you hear MRS, Wando, this and this and this. Who is the owner of it? Who are those Kaba in the NNPC? You see, NNPC can never work when I always make parable. You see, a corrupt country ruled by corrupt men. The only people in this country, they only get to suffer. We continue talking. You know, how many years now? Dangote has to come out, struggle to form a company to produce anything for us. But the Kaba there, they can't allow him to work. Tell me if the government said to give a Dangote a crude oil for Naira, and then somebody will sit in and say he's not going to give. Who tell them to go and collect money before they bring a crude oil out? And then that money where they collect, where they invest the money? You collect money to give somebody something, and then you do not invest the money in the other disease. That money they share it with themselves, and then the company when they collect the money from them, they have to give to them. The directive for the government can't work. By giving the Dangote crude oil, they have been dragging with this man. They want to bring the Dangote down. As far as Kaba continue in Nigeria, nothing can work. Nothing can save people
right.
common person. Tell me, since when this government come out, which one will ever favor poor person? Tell me now. Anything with this present government, I don't think that Nigeria is common person will like get anything from this government more than to suffer. Tax everywhere. Tax this and this. Now if you buy data, before 2 hours you don't finish. You pay this. Continue taxing us. And then the pressure in the inflation continue going up. The economic thing, they are not working. The change of Naira. How much has gone Naira to dollar now? So the government, I want somebody to call and tell me, say, since when this government come out, look what he do. When he favor the common person.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Elder
your
Naja right there,
contribution.
raising some concerns.
We have a message right here from Turkin Bihundu. He says, good morning, Daniel.
Good morning to you,
and
Turkin
Ife
Bey.
from Nasarawa State. The removed NNPC chairman, Milikiari, has overstayed in that office despite little or nothing was working under him, from putting in billions of dollars in dead refineries, paying refinery workers when no refinery was working. President Tinubu, just like Buhari, removed the overstayed NNPC chairman, Kiari, and appointed his brother. Now, filling stations owners can be quick to increase price, but very slow to adjust to decrease, the price. Turkin Bihundu, thanks for that message.
Yeah.
I think
Appreciate
we'll
you.
just try to link up with
Right.
Adefolari and Olamilekan, because there is really one pertinent question that we need to get answer to on the show this morning. His submissions have been quite, expository, if you ask me, and one thing that comes to mind would be the fact that, or it would be whether or not we've been able to regulate the activities within the oil sector,
Right.
whether from the Dangote refinery, the NNPCL, the IPMAN, and what have you. Thank you so much for joining us again, Adefolari.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, your submissions so far, they've been quite expository. I was just telling Udwag Daniel, and some family members have been able to attest to that fact, right? That you've been able to break down or to unbundle, all that, concerns the oil sector. But a question that comes to mind, Adefalarin, are we having a proper regulation gap? And that's why we have, this back and forth almost every now and then.
You are correct talking about regulation, because the regulation as it stands today is the PIA, Petroleum Industrial Act, that's supposed to be followed to the latter. And that's why we have the Petroleum Industrial Act. Before we have a very big NNPC. Now it has been unbundled into 3 agencies. We have the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. We have the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency. They will now have the NNPCL Limited, which is now in charge of helping federal government to sell its own crude as well as refine the product in Nigeria. Where the NNPDRA, that is NNPDRA, is to regulate the midstream and downstream. The midstream and downstream include the likes of Ipman, the likes of filling station, the likes of Dangote refinery, where the upstream is in charge of the IOC, International Oil Company, that are exploring the crude oil from the ground or exploring the crude oil from the sea. So that's how these 3 groups are broken into 3 different entities. NNPC is in charge of collecting the crude from NUPLC and sell on behalf of federal government, and also refine with his own 4 refineries. Where NNPLD is responsible for giving license to people who want to open filling stations, people who want to open refinery, and people who want to import PMS to the country. NNPDRA giving them that license. Anyway, the NUPLC is in charge of all the exploration on the sea and on the land, who give license to international oil companies to do the exploration, including gas as well as crude. This is how they function. But the problem we are having is that the law is not bad in itself. It is the implementation of the law that is having issues because of interest of each group and each player in the sector. Just like one of the callers talk about, why is Ipman bigger than line? Why is Ipman interest is bigger than the general interest of Nigeria? It is not because National Assembly people cannot talk. It is because some of them have filling stations, some of them are also into this oil business. So it is interest at play against the general interest of Nigerian people. And the government itself is also put people in it because government wants to make money through revenue. So it will be putting out measures to ensure that it makes more money from people in the industry. And the people in the industry also making sure that they also exploit Nigerians with the gaps that have been created because of lack of full implementation of the law as we speak right now.
Right. Well, one of the concerns has been about a family member asking the question of who even gave the NNPC the rights to mortgage, our oil, such that they sell ahead of time and deliver maybe in batches and all of that. Does that even make sense? Because when we began to unbundle, the discourse was when we discovered through Mele Kyari, when this government became very intentional about that sector, that we had mortgaged oil, crude, for a future. Oh Lord, that's why we don't have the product. If you recall, some time ago, when Dangote was saying that he cannot get the fuel from the NNPC at the time, it was when Mele Kyari, on the heat, had to come out to saying that, sorry about that. We cannot give you the desired because the desired is unavailable right now. Not because it's really unavailable, but because we have already promised other nations of the world and have collected monies in advance, for these. Do you think this is part of the reform that we need to look into?
I think it's already ongoing right now. If you see the Tinubu government, they have set a target for NNPC. Even before Mele Kyari was removed yesterday, the new boys that are coming in, they have a bigger work to do. Bayo Odilari and Ahmed Kate and Keda, they are going to do more work. Do you know the target that Tinubu is giving to them? They will start producing 2 million barrels before the end of this year. They will start producing 2.5 million barrels in 2027. By 2030, they will be producing 3 million barrels of crude. If they don't meet up, they will remove them.
Don't you think that would be a tall order? How realistic is that?
No, that is what is expected of them. That is what is expected. We have everything in our arsenal to ensure that we produce crude oil to that level. The excuses that have been given in the past is that there's oil theft, there's bunkering, there's pipeline vandalism. And for now, do you know what the government did? The government set up strategic security architecture in the oil and gas sector. Apart from Tompolo, that all of us are saying that Tompolo has been giving contracts. Do you know how many other people that have been given opportunity to be securing a pipeline? Those Niger Delta boys that gave the amnesty, they are securing the pipeline. Nigerian Navy is securing the pipeline. NSC, this Nigerian Civil Service, they are securing the military. So everybody, there is a tight security on crude oil pipeline infrastructure. So nobody will give excuse that they are stealing any crude oil. So the ones that will be sold by anybody will be an insider. Okay. And that's why the government is giving them that. Even if they are stealing, make sure that what we ask you to produce, like this 2025 budget, now, do you know how the target of 2025 budget? 2.06 million barrels of crude must be produced daily. Government is targeting about 24 trillion naira to be earned from petrol, from crude oil this year. So if they don't meet up, Tinubu will have problem with the budget. So if Tinubu is having problem with budget, who will he hold responsible? NNPC. Who will he hold responsible? NUPRC. Because these are the two agencies that will ensure that we produce crude oil. And the second one is NNPC NUPRC will make sure we produce, and NNPC will make sure we sell and raise the money.
Okay.
So they have a big target on their hands.
All right. So to wrap up the conversation, Adefolarin, in 1 minute, we understand that Ojulari is a seasoned Nigerian engineer with expertise in petroleum, process and production engineering. Will it be right to say that better days are ahead?
We should see that, because this is the first time we'll be seeing, this is another time we'll be seeing someone from outside NNPC taking charge. The last time we had someone from outside NNPC taking charge was when Ibe Kachiku became NNPC GA, then later became minister. So we're having someone that has worked in that sector. And one of the good profiles that this new man, Bayo Ojulari, is having is that he was in charge of Renaissance Oil Energy Company, and they were able to move their production and move their investment to over $4.5 billion. So that alone is very attractive. So what the government is looking at is to bring someone from the private sector, because NNP is supposed to be private as it is now. It is commercialized. But since 2 years ago, NNP is supposed to be fully privatized. But we hope that with this new man, the shares of NNP will be available for people like us to go and buy, or you or yourself go and buy, or Nigerians go buy their shares. Maybe that's what the government is targeting, so that will be more investment. Because one of the things that NNP is lacking is that they don't have, according to them, they don't have much money to invest in some of those infrastructure. Maybe with this man coming on board, there could be more money to invest in infrastructure. The NNPC will also, with this 4 refinery that's also doing those sides, maybe you will come and revive it. So we should set agenda for Ojulari that the 4 refineries will be working before the end of this year.
Awesome.
That is your new target.
Awesome.
Working, not the military set. Military, we know that it was a very, very unpleasant refinery that he gave us. But if we ensure that those refineries are working.
Let's just hope that Milikari, now that he's been deposed, would not come out now and say those things that he had promised he would say. Because at some point he had said, if I open my mouth to talk, there are things I will say that will shock everyone.
Whatever information he's privy to, if it's going to be of any importance to the new leadership,
let me add. See, whatever Milikari will come and talk, let him keep it to himself.
Okay.
When he's supposed to talk, he did not talk. If he's coming out to talk anything, he's coming to lie to Nigerians.
All right, let's leave it there.
When he was there.
Let's leave it there. We see you. Blessing Monday. Thank you for the message. Saying hi to everyone. We see you too, Deborah, Richard, Adedayo, saying Nigeria. Where are you going exactly? Where you headed? And of course, Baz, thank you far too kind, but we can't take your message right now. Thank you to each and every one of us. Tomorrow is yet another day. Mr. Adefolarin, thank you far too kind. We look forward to more conversations. And of course, hopefully, seeing the dividends of this new man in this new office. Have a great day. Right.
Thank you.
Right. This is where we call it a close. And my name is Uduak Daniel.
I am Omo if a piece or Semere. Well, the business news will be coming up in a short bit, but after this commercial timeout. Do join us again.